All right. Well, again, good morning, everybody. And yes, thank you for those of you wishing me a happy birthday. Um, I'm the ripe old age of 34 now. So I know I look older than what I do. That's what most people tell me. So, but yes, I am only 34. Um, so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to start really slowly, but we are to start doing, we're going to start doing we're going to start reading Julius Caesar. We are only going to read a few pages today because, like I said, we're starting off slow. I want to make sure that I don't overwhelm you. We will be reading mostly in class. There might be some days where you will need to read outside of class, but for the most part, we're going to be reading together inside class. So, especially with this, just because the language can be tricky and I want to make sure that there's no confusion and I want you guys to enjoy it. I mean, I know a lot of you guys, I feel like some people just have built this like barrier, like saying like Shakespeare is evil. I don't get it. I will never get it. And that's not true. Now, I will fully admit, um, like in high school, I probably didn't understand it as much as I do now. But like I said, it's my job to make sure that we understand it, that I give you the tools to hopefully understand it. And you might not get every single word that they say, but I think for the most part, you'll be able to get the gist of what's going on and you'll be able to yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the same author, so yes, it is very much like Romeo and Juliet. But the nice thing is, though, the way I do Shakespeare is when I teach it is that I always, as soon as we finish an act, because there's 5 acts, and that's pretty typical of Shakespearean plays, is that they come in 5 acts. After every act, we will watch the movie version of it, so that way you guys can again get the visual, like you can see what's happening. Because I think a lot of times that really helps. Because again, nobody read Shakespeare in Shakespeare's time; they all watched his plays, and so that's what we will be doing. So we'll read Act One, and then we will go and watch it. Read Act Two, watch it. Read Act Three, watch it. We will actually won't be reading Acts 4 and 5. I never have my students read Acts 4 and 5. We just watch it because most of the interesting parts, honestly, is in the first 3 acts, and then Acts 4 and 5. There's not as much stuff that we need to really analyze as much. So we'll watch it so that way you can get the conclusion of how it ends. And there are some interesting things to talk about, but nothing that we can, that we can't do just by watching it. So, anyways, we are going to be starting Act One, Scene One today. We're going to be doing something called a dialectical journal. So, in the chat, has anybody done a dialectical journal? You could also unmute yourself if you'd like. That's, again, your call. But do you guys know what a dialectical journal is? Have you ever heard of that term before? Okay, thank you for a couple people for responding. Again, if I could get everybody else to respond. Okay. So dialectical journals are essentially, they are, again, that's exactly how it sounds. It's a journal, but dialectical means basically that you're going to be focusing on quotes from.
Remind you.
I'm sorry?
Like to remind you.
It's in a way, yeah, it's kind of to remind you of what you read. It's to help you like keep track of what's going on in the play. But basically what you're going to be doing, the reason why you're doing it is to, one, show that you're actually reading it. That's part of it. But two, it's also going to, and so that we can avoid having hopefully as many quizzes as long as we're doing it. But also it's to make sure that you have like a bank of quotes. Like I said, I'm in the master's program right now. I am getting ready to write an 8-page paper. I'm going to start it this week and turn it in not this Friday, but the Friday after. What I've been doing up to this point is gathering sources. So I've collected 12 different sources. I only have to use 7 of them, but I'm going to pick the 7 best ones to use. So just like that, you're going to have a ton of different quotes from throughout the entire play, but you'll have them all in one space. You won't have to go reading through the entire book to find it again. So that's, again, the benefit of doing it this way is that it gives you one easy to find place for all of the quotes, and you could just select whichever ones you think are going to help prove your point. All right, so we are going to be reading Act 1, Scene 1 together, and I try to include audio versions of most, if not all, of the reading that we do. So there will be an audio component. I will be playing it as we read it. As you can see, it's only 4 minutes, so it's really short. Today's reading, at least. And then after we are done reading and listening to it, you're going to fill out the dialectical journal. You're going to submit the document to Act 1, Scene 1, JC, which JC is Julius Caesar, DC is should be dialectical. It should be DJ, not DC. That was my bad. JCDJ, sorry, dialectical journal. Anyways, I am going to really quick change my screen so that way I can show you kind of what the dialectical journal looks like. Hold on a second. Okay. Okay, switch screens. All right, so here's the JCDJ, not JCDC. Sounds like ACDC. I was on scene 2, which is what we're going to do on Thursday or Friday if you're my period 5 and 6. But for you guys, it'll be period. We're in period 3, so this will be today and Thursday. So this is what we're doing today. JCDJ Act 1, Scene 1. So again, as we read it, it's important to help keep track of the important events that occur, as well as the important things that some of the characters say. Again, it's a play, so most of the action comes from the dialogue, from what people are saying, and not as much from what they're doing. So the directions are to complete Act 1, Scene 1. I have all the links here that you need to be successful. So you have the dialectical journal document. So you would click on that, and it's going to ask you to make a copy. There is the actual link for the text. So this is where you'll find the link for the book as well. And it'll take you to this ebook. It's logged me out a few times. If it logs you out, just go back and click on the link again, and it'll automatically log you in. I'll be 100% honest. I don't know what the login information is, but if you click in on this link, it'll automatically log you in, so you'll be good. And then the audio is right there. So basically, the rule of thumb is going to be, we're going to fill out one quote per page. We're not, again, we're doing acts 1, 2, and 3. We're not doing 4 and 5. So even though we are going to be watching the whole thing, you are not expected to do the journal for the entire thing. So that saves you a good like 30 to 40 pages of doing this. You're going to pick a quote for each page. You're going to translate it into modern language. So you're going to like paraphrase it. So still from the point of view of the characters, but just in a more modern interpretation, a modern way to say what they're saying. Explain why the quote is important to the story or what it says about the characters. So let me go ahead and show you what that looks like. So I did the first page for you guys. So I have a quote, a trade, sir, that I hope I may use with a safe conscience, which is indeed, sir, a mender of bad souls. So what are souls? First of all, there's SOLES versus SOULS. So what are SOLES type of souls? Go ahead and put that in the chat. So what are souls versus souls? Okay, Nevaeh, good, thank you. It's okay, Lamberto, thank you for responding. Show that you're listening. Again, what are souls? SOLES, that type of soul. Should see everybody responding. So let's make sure that we're staying on track. Okay, so again, everybody needs to be responding. If you are not responding, you are not present. So make sure that you guys are. Not quite, Kai, but that's okay. Thank you for responding. Chris, yes, exactly. Good. And then Nora, good. David, thank you for responding again. I appreciate that. Melee, good. Yes, Jaden, that's what I said. But what is the difference between the two of them? That's what I'm asking you. I wasn't asking you to repeat what I said. So what are souls versus souls? Yes, Joey. So it's good that you know the distinction that the SOUL one is that type of soul. Good. Yeah, actually, again, SOLE versus SOUL. And Nathan, that's a good guess, but it's not quite. Okay. All right. So I will go ahead and tell you what it is. So a sole is like the sole of your shoe, the bottom part of your shoe. So you'll see like sole inserts, like at the store and stuff like that. So SOLE means the sole of your shoe, the bottom part of your shoe where your foot sits, basically, when you put your foot in, that's the sole of your shoe. So if you guys look here, he's saying this character, the second commenter, is saying that a trade, so a trade would be a job, sir, that I hope I may use with a safe conscience. So I have a job that I hope that I could use with a good conscience, which is indeed, sir, a mender of bad souls. So if he's a mender of bad souls, SOLES, and we know that souls means shoe, the bottom of our shoe, what does that mean that he's a mender of bad souls? What kind of job does he have? So again, SOLE means the bottom of your shoe. So he's a mender of bad souls. So what is he? Good, Nevaeh. Excellent. Rain, nice. Yes, he fixes souls. Good. But what does that mean? So what does he fix? Excellent, Oscar. And you even had the right word too. Yep. There's a word that starts with a C that Oscar used that's specifically for shoes, a shoe repairer or fixer or whatever you want to call them. You guys know what that word is? It's the same word as a dessert too, actually, if you want another hint. Like a peach blank. See if anybody's had one of these. Have you ever had a dessert it's a peach and then blank? There you go. Cobbler. Good. So yes, a cobbler is another word for somebody. Obviously, we don't have them because we're a very disposable country and society. The whole world is now. We don't really fix our shoes. We just throw them away and buy new shoes. But back in the day, they didn't have means to quickly build new shoes constantly and all the time. So they had cobblers, and cobblers fix the shoes if they got broken. They would repair them. So if you look at my second box, I have a job that I can do without going against my morals. I am somebody who fixes bad souls, or I am a cobbler. Okay, so for each quote that you find, you're going to paraphrase it into your own words. And then you are going to choose. As you can see, there are several questions. I do not expect you to answer all the questions for each quote. I would like you to mix it up. So you like maybe one page, you do one question, another page, you do another. I don't want you to do like, what does it say about the character for literally every quote? But again, these are options either. And I wrote etc. because if you have other questions that you feel like need to be answered, feel free to try to answer those questions as well. But for each quote, you're going to answer one of these questions. So you could answer, what does it say about the character? You could answer, what could it be foreshadowing? Obviously, foreshadowing is when you give a clue or hint about what's going to happen later in the story. And if you do that, please explain why you think it's foreshadowing, like what part about it. Don't just say, I think this is foreshadowing blank. Why do you think it's foreshadowing blank? Again, it just has to be one sentence. Just add a because clause to it. Why do you think Shakespeare is including this? Is it a social commentary? So is he like making commentary about like, oh, like this is something negative that the rich do, or this is something that he's making a comment about like poor people. It could be about race. It could be about sexuality. It could be, you know, anything like that. So what is the commentary that he's trying to make? For this last one, do not summarize. Don't tell me what happened in the quote or what they're saying. I don't want you to explain to me, this is what they said. No, I want you to go deeper than that. So I want to know, what does it reveal to me? What am I learning from this? So that's what I want you guys to do. So again, this character is hinting that he is a good person and maybe calling into question the morals of higher ups. So again, it doesn't outright say that he's questioning like the morals of higher ups, but I'm making an inference. I'm making like some sort of opinion based off of what I read. So if I just left it at this character is hinting that he is a good person, that's summary. But I added that second part, which made it more of analysis. Okay. So if we look at the next quote, and I know we haven't read yet, but I'm still just wanting you to see kind of like where we're heading. Okay. Wherefore rejoice? What conquest brings he home? What tributaries follow him to Rome to grace and captive bonds his chariot wheels? Okay. Now I know that's for some people, they might be like, wait, what did he say? Rejoicing means celebration. So basically, wherefore would you be basically saying, why are you? Right? So wherefore, why are you rejoicing? Why are you celebrating? What conquest brings you home? What prizes does Caesar, and that's who they're referring to, they're referring to Caesar. What prizes has Caesar brought home? What tributaries follow him to Rome to grace and captive bonds his chariot wheel? So basically, again, back in those days, they would capture prisoners and basically the prisoners would be put to work. So what prisoners has he captured? All right, so here's my paraphrase of it. Why should we be happy? What does he bring back that's so special? How are we supposed to be okay with him when he took some of our people captive on his chariot wheels? And that's the other thing too. He obviously, okay, let me pause real quick. So we all watched the documentary last week, the Rome Rise and Fall. Like I told you before, that was a prequel to the play. So where we left off in the story was Caesar and Pompey were going to war with each other. Pompey used to be Caesar's ally. In fact, Pompey married one of Caesar's daughters. And so they technically were family at one point. Now, Caesar's daughter dies, and so Pompey and Caesar become estranged, which means separated at that point, and they become enemies. And eventually, again, they go to war with one another because Caesar wants to take control, and Pompey is very set in the old ways. Caesar is wanting to change the government. He's more for the people. The people like him. Now, you could make the argument that the people like him and he plays to the people because he wants power. Who knows how he's going to change and help the people if he continues to gain power, if he gets what he wants. But that's a conversation for another time. But anyways, so today, as we read, I already did the first page for you. I did most of the second page for you. You still will need to answer a question about this quote. And like, again, it can be any one of these questions. The last page, you're going to have to do one quote. You're going to have to do a paraphrase of it and a question. Okay. So we're starting off really slow today because I want to make sure that everybody like kind of gets it. So we're going to read together. I'm going to put you in breakout rooms. After I put breakout rooms, you're going to finish this just again, these. You're not finishing the whole thing. This is going to take us weeks. I know it's a lot, but again, this is going to take us multiple weeks to finish, obviously, because there's quite a bit there. So, but we'll keep chipping away at it little by little. Again, we're starting off really slow today. But we're going to read this. You're going to finish this. You're going to submit this document. You will submit this document multiple times. after each scene that we do, after each after each act and scene that we do. So that way that I can make sure that we're keeping our progress going. You'll get points after each scene, but that's essentially what we're doing. So going back to this, I need everybody to go ahead and open up their text. So you should click on the text and it should take you to here. And then we're going to go to, if you just change it to page 1, or if you go to the very beginning, you could even just click on the table of contents. You could click on Act 1, Scene 1, Rome, 8th Street. So that's where we're going to be starting off. Like I said, I will be playing the audio. I will be stopping it at points. Let me double check the chat real quick. Again, you're doing Act 1, Scene 1. So pages 3, 4, and 5. Now, the page numbers don't match up entirely to this book because I normally am teaching from, I'm normally teaching from this book, and this is the book that I normally have in class. Obviously, I could have had you all come to campus to get this, but in the interest of safety, having everybody being socially distant and not having people come on campus unnecessarily, I provided a digital copy of this. So we're just using the digital copy. If it says 3 pages, just do 3 quotes. You don't have to do an X. So technically in the electronic version, there are 4 pages, but just do 3 pages. That's fine. So like I said, as long as you do the same amount that matches up there, I don't really care about the page numbers. I just don't want like 10 quotes from 1 page or anything like that. So okay, that being said, we should all be looking at Act 1, Scene 1. I'm going to go ahead and play the audio. So let me get that set up.
Hence! Home! You idle creatures, get you home! Is this a holiday? What, know you not, being mechanical, you ought not walk upon a labouring day without the sign of your profession. Speak, what trade art thou?
Oi, sir, a carpenter. Where is thy leather apron and thy rule? What dost thou with thy best apparel on? You, sir, what trade are you?
Julie?
Okay, sorry. Let me just pause right there because again, I don't see you. I can't see any of you because obviously your cameras are off because you're focusing on this, but I can already sense the glazed over looks from some of your eyes as far as like, oh my God, I have no idea what they're saying. So let's break this down, okay? So Flavius and Morellus are 2 characters that we will only see in this beginning part, okay? So Flavius has just said hence, which means hence means to me, like look to me basically. Home, you idle creature. So the one thing, a lot of comparison that people always make, I'm not a huge Star Wars person. I mean, I know of Star Wars. I've watched most of them. And I'm not like a super Star Wars person, but a lot of people make the comparison that a lot of the characters in Shakespeare kind of sound like Yoda in that he kind of talks out of order a little bit, So it's very similar to that. So because when he's saying home, you idle creatures, get you home, we would just say, go home, you lazy people. So idle means staying still. So home, you idle creatures, get you home. Is this a holiday? So that's pretty straightforward. He's actually asking them, is it a holiday today? And then what? Know you not, being mechanical, you ought not walk upon a labor day without the sign of your profession. So basically what they're saying is a laboring day. So that would be what type of day? What type of days are laboring days? And again, this isn't a trick question. So what do you guys think? And again, you can unmute if you want, if you don't want to type it out.
Labor Day.
Well, not Labor Day, not that type of holiday. Labor Day did not exist in Roman times, but it's a laboring day. So yes, Chris, it's weekday.
Hard work.
Yeah, so laboring days would be weekdays. So you have the weekend for resting and you have weekdays for laboring, for doing work, right? So he's basically saying upon a laboring day, so upon a weekday without the sign of your profession, the sign of your profession would be if you, most people back then were tradespeople, so they would make things. So like if you made things, obviously you would have to wear like safety equipment, like it could be like an apron or just like all of your gear that you would be wearing to make whatever it is you're making. So the first person says that they are a carpenter. Then Morellis, where is thy leather apron? So literally a leather apron to wear as they're building things. So a carpenter makes things out of wood. And thy rule, so like a rule to like measure and like make sure that they have the right angles and everything. What dost thou with thy best apparel on? So again, why are you wearing your best clothes and why aren't you wearing your work clothes? And then they're getting ready to ask the second person, what trade art thou? So this is our cobbler. This is the person who, again, is the mender of bad souls. And this meant to sound like, because again, they're not reading this. People in Shakespeare's time are listening to this. So when they say, I am a mender of bad souls, technically it could be souls like the bottom of your shoes, or a mender of souls like your spirit or your like who you are as a person, right? So again, the cobbler is kind of messing with Morellis and Flavius. He's basically saying like he's going to kind of jerk him around and not give him a straightforward answer. He's not going to be real direct with him. He's basically joking with him and trying to get like everybody around him to laugh. He's basically like the class clown essentially. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and keep going with this. Let's keep playing.
Sir, in respect of a fine workman, I am,
Okay,
as
next
you
page.
would say, a cobbler.
But what trade art thou? Answer me directly.
A trade, sir, that I hope I may use with a safe conscience, which is indeed, sir, a mender of bad souls.
What trade, thou knave, thou naughty knave? What trade?
Nay, I beseech you, sir, be not out with me. If you be out, sir, I can mend you.
What meanest thou by that? Mend me, thou saucy fellow.
Why, sir, cobble you.
Thou art a cobbler, art thou?
Truly, sir, all that I live by is with the all. I meddle with no tradesmen's matters, nor women's matters. But withal, I am indeed, sir, a surgeon to old shoes. When they are in great danger, I recover them. As proper men as ever trod upon neat's leather have gone upon my handiwork.
But wherefore art not in thy shop today? Why dost thou lead these men about the streets?
Truly, sir, to wear out their shoes to get myself into more work. But indeed, sir, we make holiday to see Caesar and to rejoice in his triumph.
Okay, so let's talk about what just happened again. It was just a back and forth. Most of it was nonsense, okay? Most of it was just the cobbler, the second citizen, basically screwing with Morellis, essentially. Like he was saying, all I live by is with the awl. The awl is a tool that would be used for cobbling shoes. But it also sounds like what word? Again, what is it when it says he works the awl, AWL? It also sounds like what? Oops. Didn't mean to hit that. Again, in the chat, what does it sound like? AWL sounds like what? Thank you, Chris. Can I get other people to respond too? Just so I know we're all like paying attention. Thank you, Joey. Melee, I think that's a little bit more of a stretch. Again, the all. What does that sound like? Not owl, but yeah, it sounds like all. So he's saying like, I live by all, I work with all. And again, he's just not giving them a straight answer. And it's kind of irritating Flavius and Morellis, who already aren't happy because they're seeing all this celebration and holiday, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, and nobody's giving them a straight answer. So
Sarcastic.
yeah, he's being extremely sarcastic. He's basically just like screwing around with them. He finally gives them one straight answer. And again, the reason why that they're celebrating and having a holiday, which they are having a holiday, is to celebrate the return of Caesar. So again, Caesar has just defeated Pompey. Like I said, that's why I said that documentary was, because we pretty much left off once he's defeated him, and now he's returning after defeating him. And so Morellis and Flavius, especially Morellis, though, are not going to be happy about this. So Morellis is about to tell the whole crowd off, essentially.
Wherefore rejoice? What conquest brings he home? What tributaries follow him to Rome to grace in captive bonds his chariot wheels? You blocks, you stones, you worse than senseless things. Oh, you hard hearts, you cruel men of Rome. Knew you not Pompey? Many a time and oft have you climbed up to walls and battlements, to towers and windows, yea, chimney tops, your infants in your arms, and there have sat the livelong day with patient expectation to see great Pompey pass the streets of Rome. And when you saw his chariot but appear, have you not made an universal shout? The Tiber trembled underneath her banks to hear the replication of your sounds made in her concave shores. And do you now put on your best attire? And do you now call out a holiday? And do you now strew flowers in his way that comes in triumph over Pompey's blood? Begone! Run to your houses, fall upon your knees. Pray to the gods to intermit the plague that needs must light on this ingratitude.
Okay, so again, he's obviously not happy. He calls them blocks, you stones, which obviously if you're calling somebody a block, you know, or a stone, basically you're unmoving, you don't care, probably calling them stupid too, because obviously stones can't sink. But he's calling them cruel because, again, he's saying things like many a time and oft, and when you see the word oft, just think of it as a shortened version of saying often. Many a time and often have you climbed up to the walls and battlements, to towers and windows, yea, to chimney tops, your infants in your arms, and there have sat the livelong day with patient expectation, waiting expectantly to see great Pompey pass the streets of Rome. So he's saying, all right, you idiots used to be getting up, celebrating, wearing your best clothes to see Pompey, and now you're doing the exact same thing, but now you're excited to see the person who just murdered him. So it's like, he's basically saying, pick a side. You know, you were on his side, and now you're celebrating the fact that he's been murdered. So you used to cheer him on. You used to be so excited to see him that you would shout so loudly that like the rivers from like another land would hear you. And now you create a holiday. Now you throw flowers over Pompey's blood. And then so go home, pray to the gods to keep the plague from killing you for this ingratitude. Okay. So that's what Morellis was essentially just saying. So now we're going to get into Flavius. And like I said, we're actually almost done with this scene. Like I said, it's really short, but I wanted to make sure that we broke it down. I will still break down the other ones, but again, I will give you tools to make you guys hopefully like be able to understand it better. It is going to take work on your guys' part, you know, but at the same time, like I'm not going to go at a breakneck speed. We got to go through this a little more slowly than we would like a normal short story or even some of the novels with more modern language in it. Oh, and just so we're clear, don't refer to this as Old English. This is actually modern English because, again, almost all the words there are just normal English words. They might be words that you don't use very often, and sometimes they're a little out of order, but they're just modern. It's modern English. Middle English was around like, I don't know, the 1000s to the 1300s. And that's really hard to understand. That's like a completely different language. It's like a mix of like German and English kind of mixed together. It's really weird. But yeah, so that's Middle English. Old English, I've never even looked at. I have no idea what Old English really like would be like, but it's like a completely different language from regular English. But anyways, I just wanted you guys to be clear on that. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to listen to the rest of the scene, which we only have about 1 minute left. So here we go.
Go, go, good countrymen, and for this fault, assemble all the poor men of your sort. Draw them to Tiber banks and weep your tears into the channel stream to kiss the most exalted shores of all. See where their basest metal be not moved. They vanish tongue-tied in their guiltiness. Go you down that way towards the capital. This way will I. Disrobe the images if you do find them decked with ceremonies.
May we do so? You know it is the feast of Lupercal.
It is no matter. Let no images be hung with Caesar's trophies. I'll about and drive away the vulgar from the streets. So do you too, where you perceive them thick. These growing feathers, plucked from Caesar's wing, will make him fly an ordinary pitch. Who else would soar above the view of men and keep us all in servile fearfulness?
Okay. So let's talk about what Flavius just said. So Flavius told everyone to leave, where it says exuent citizens. That's the stage direction for all the commoners to basically leave. But then he's telling Morellus to go, okay, go around. So he's saying, go down towards the capital. I'm going to go down the other way. Disrobe the images. So the images would be like statues or busts, which a bust is like a statue, but just from like the chest up. So like their chest and head. And basically take off all, they put like flowers and like decorations all over them to celebrate Caesar's return. So they're saying basically get rid of all that, get rid of all the decorations, get rid of it all. And we don't want any of that anywhere. And then Morellus is saying, oh, should we do that? It's the Feast of Lupercal, which, so in addition to Caesar returning, it's also another holiday, which Lupercal is like a spring holiday. It's like the celebration of like life and fertility and basically like the renewal of life, because obviously, you know, spring, that's what spring means. So he's saying it's Lupercal. Should we be doing that? And Flavius says, don't worry about it. Just do it. Just get rid of all that. And he says something that's kind of interesting. So these growing feathers plucked from Caesar's wing. So growing feathers. So they're still continuing to grow on him. And he means that metaphorically. So metaphorically means not literally, right? So the feathers are basically all the images, all the robe, all the flowers and all the celebrations that are being heaped on Caesar. And he's saying, if we remove those, we will pluck these growing feathers from Caesar's wing. So by removing all of his celebration, we'll make him fly an ordinary pitch. So what do you think he means by an ordinary pitch? What could you substitute the word pitch for? They can make him fly an ordinary what? Yeah, so if you substitute the word pitch, like when you're like, if like planes are flying, they fly at like different pitches. So like if they're flying at this pitch, they're going to go high. If they're flying straight, this will be like a more normal pitch, right? So he's basically saying that they're going to keep him by removing all the celebrations and removing all of the decorations that have been strewn upon Caesar, that they're going to make him fly at an ordinary pitch. They're going to like, he's not better than anybody else. He is not a god. We're going to make sure that he understands that he is just a normal person and that he is no better than any of us. And that who else should soar above the view of men and keep us all in servile fearfulness? So what does servile sound like? And again, I'd like to hear, I've heard a lot from Chris, which I appreciate, Chris. Thank you. And Melee. So make sure that everybody else is responding. What does it mean? What does servile mean? Yeah, Johan, good. Everybody else? What does servile mean? And again, don't worry about being wrong. I'm more interested that you're listening because I'm going to tell you what it means, but I would like everyone to take a guess of what servile means. Okay, thank you, Meili. Yeah, it already kind of sounds like another word. Yeah, servile means like service, right? It means in servile fearfulness. So they're basically him soaring above the view of men, him flying high because of all of these celebrations are going to keep the rest of us afraid of having to serve him, basically. And that's what they're saying. They're just worried about him getting out of control with power. And that's essentially what a lot of this play boils down to. It's like some people think he has great leadership. Some people view him as a power hungry dictator. So it just kind of depends on like which side you're on, you know? So anyways, that was the end of Act 1, Scene 1. So that's essentially all we are doing today as far as reading goes. The rest of class, you guys are going to finish this up. I'm going to put you in breakout rooms. You're going to finish this box. Again, I did the first line completely. Then I did this one mostly. I did the quote and the paraphrase. Make sure that you are including the characters' names, so that way you guys can know who's speaking when you go back to look at these quotes. But again, don't summarize. Answer one of these questions about that quote. Okay, so you'll need to find one more quote, paraphrase it, answer the question, and then answer this question for page 4. So anyways, what questions do you have for me before I split you up into breakout rooms? Yeah, you just got to finish page 4 and 5, and then please submit it to Canvas. Submit it to that assignment, Act 1, Scene 1, JC DJ, Julius Caesar Dialectical Journal. So please make sure that you are submitting it there. And then once you are done, again, we will return. Class gets out at 12:40. I will call all of you back. Let's go ahead and say 12:15. Like I said, don't worry about the actual page numbers. Again, the page numbers are going to differ. Again, you guys aren't leaving. You guys are still staying here. I'm putting you in breakout rooms. So at 12:15, I will end the breakout rooms, and we're going to review some of your responses. So that way we know, like, this is what we're doing well. Everybody's going to get full credit for this first time, just because I want to make sure that everybody is at least trying it. If you do it wrong this first time, I won't penalize you, but I just want to make sure that we know what it should look like and what it shouldn't look like. So I'm going to go ahead, open up the breakout rooms. I'm going to